So first of all, let me talk about this. I feel like you might be dealing with this person. This is showing up here, so this is your energy. You're trying to convince somebody, the Queen of Wands, a fire sign, Sagittarius, Aries, or Leo, male or female. And I'm sensing for many of you, this is a mother, a father, somebody that you are trying to, you're trying to tell them like, here's what you should do. It's going to be really good for you. And I feel like they're kind of looking the other way. They're turning a blind eye. On the one hand, they understand on a very deep intuitive level that you're giving them good advice, that you're giving them, advice from the heart because you want what's best for them. But on the other hand, I feel like they're looking for a little bit more fun, a little bit more adventure, and they're not ready to hear what you have to say. And I also feel as well, this is somebody that I'm seeing an energy of a clique here, like a social grouping where you belong to one social grouping. They're listening to another person from outside of this interaction. Okay, so it's like they have an emotional tie here with somebody else, and they're going to work and make decisions based on the interests of what's good for them as well as what's good for the other person that they might be emotionally invested in. And so I want to say, like, yes, you can talk until you're blue in the face. When it comes down to making the decision, they're heavily influenced by a third party. And I feel for many of you, this is like a fire sign that you are dealing with who has possibly someone with dependency issues, like some type of, they're trying to get their life in order. And I feel like, they're trying to do the right thing, but they have external influences that you are not aware of. And so even though you're telling them and they understand what you're telling them, they agree with you, they're going to make decisions based on, previous alliances, previous arrangement. I do feel a lot of office politics here at work. And I feel for some of you, this might be in a work environment as well. It might be like a supervisor or somebody that you're interacting with heavily in a work environment, and they're not listening to you, even though you're trying to, steer them in the right direction. You're appealing to their sense of reason. But I feel like whatever it is, it's not appealing to them on an emotional level. And that's why you might not be able to get through to them. I mentioned this before, Libras, and I feel like this needs to be said again, okay? I mentioned this, I believe, in the mid-month reading, where I feel like for you and Aquarius, you have a really difficult time speaking about feelings, speaking from the heart, speaking about emotions. It's almost like, as all human beings, you feel things on a deep level. But when it comes to the way that you express things, you're very factual, you're very pragmatic, and you're very fact-based. And a lot of the times, I feel like in order to persuade people to do things that you want or to do things that is best for you, you have to put in a little bit of a human touch to it. So that basically means, hey, I'm worried about you. I'm worried about the path that you're taking because, of such and such. But more than anything, just express it in a way where it appeals to the other person emotionally. And you might be wondering, like, what exactly does that mean? What exactly does that, entail? It basically means, I feel that you should do this, blah, 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 because I feel that if you do this, you will get this, blah, blah, blah. So it's basically telling them, walking through the emotional process with them. So you can still, interject with these, you can still do so by appealing to them intellectually, but the way that you phrase it, it has to start with, I feel sentences. I feel that, or rather than I think that, because you're very good at thinking. But when it comes to making an emotional appeal, trying to get somebody on board, you also have to, slip yourself in their shoes and figure out, what kind of person is this? How can I persuade them? What do I need to emphasize in my speech, in my sales pitch, in my argument so that I can, get them to understand that this is also in their best interest. So I feel like that's something that's coming through for this month. And I also feel like, it's if it's not handled correctly, I feel like you might not be able to achieve what you want, or you might not be able to persuade the other person from coming to your point of view, because I feel like emotionally they're already wrapped up in other things, okay? And what we have as well, we have another water sign here. So this is a Pisces, a Cancer, or a Scorpio. This is the King of Cups. Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Rising, male or female. And what I feel with this person is, I do feel this is a relationship partner that you're working things through with, that you're trying to, figure out like what to do. And what I'm getting from this is, let me look at these two cards in conjunction to one another. I'm sensing that for this month, the major theme here is travel. The major theme here is, reassessing whether or not the relationship is restrictive, or whether the relationship is enough for you to build upon. And I feel like for some of you, you might care about a person, but when it comes to like, okay, where do I see me and this person 5 years from now, career-wise? Are we able to be in the same geographical location? Is it practical for us to do the long distance relationship? Is it practical for us to maintain this relationship even though there are, some disagreements, even though I'm sensing some of you are feeling claustrophobic in a relationship. And while you do care about this person, because this is a very loving, very caring, very nurturing type of a person. But the partner that you might be dealing with, I feel like they do come and go. And usually I look at, the couples card, the king and the queen of the same suit. It's almost like two people living far away from each other. Or either one person is traveling heavily and they're not able to be physically and emotionally present when you need them. So there's a little bit of a topsy-turvy energy, turbulent energy coming through as it relates to your relationship partner. And I feel like many of you are reassessing, like, can I still grow in this relationship? Is it making me happy, or am I feeling stifled? And I'm also sensing as well, and this is fine. I'm sensing some of you are ready to go out, meet new people, date around. You might not want to put yourself on hold for just one person. You might just want to go out and, feel the need to make connections, date multiple people, and that's fine. But I do feel that you're caught between what your intellect is telling you, this is, give it another try, give the relationship another try. And you're caught between your emotions, and your emotions basically screams out, I want to explore. I want to live my life. I want to be unencumbered. I want to, experiment a little bit. So I feel like that's what's really happening here. So we do have some inner conflict playing out in your life, but I also feel as well, this is a situation where I don't feel like it's gonna be intense. I feel that it's more overcoming internal conflicts, trying to figure out what is the best course of action for me and what's the best step for me to take right now. So let me talk about the freedom of movement situation. I feel like for the past few months, there were things physically for the past few months. So possibly, in that June timeframe, I feel like there were July. So I feel like there were a few things blocking your path when it comes to like forward momentum, forward movement, even freedom of movement, feeling free to come and go as you please. There was something physically barring your path. For some of you, inclement weather. For others of you, lack of transportation. And then for others of you, financial worries, even like working really, really late. And then, you wake up really early to get to work. And then by the time you get off work, it's like nighttime and you go home and you repeat the whole process. So it just feels like life wasn't very enjoyable. There were a lot of restrictions. And I also feel like you were really beating, kind of like being very hard on yourself. feeling frustrated, feeling as if you're not good enough. And I also feel like feeling a little bit, this is a card about a victory. So I'm feeling for some of you, feeling frustrated because you feel like you failed in some capacity. This energy is uplifting because it's lifting, excuse me, because they're saying like the process needed to happen, the process of, defending yourself, the process of like having to put in the extra work to show what you are capable of, to prove to others your skills and to prove to others how determined, how responsible, and how strong and ambitious that you are. Once these things were able to be achieved, I feel like that's when progress is going to start. So I feel like some of you are in a work environment where you're starting from the bottom here with the Page of Pentacles. This is somebody starting out and they might not have all the skills. They might not be, adequately compensated based on the work that they're doing. But with it in the upright position, it basically means that it can be built upon. So right now things are a little bit frustrating, but sooner or later, you're going to get to the space where you feel good about the contributions that you're making. You feel adequately sufficient based on the salary that you're making, and you will feel as well appreciated by the people around you. So we have some things here that you still need to work out. And I also feel like for many of you, you might have, gone from a more of like a creative field, like, art. I feel like more like liberal arts or even fine arts. And now you're finding yourself returning to work, trying to work in an environment that is very practical. It's very structured. It's a little bit rigid. And you're trying to navigate the energy, and you feel like it's a little bit claustrophobic and a little bit restrictive. Okay. So overcoming a lot of internal conflicts, I feel, is the major first step when it comes to being able to achieve, showing other people what your potentials are, what your capabilities are, what your skills are, and being able to do that before a job can come into the picture to give you exactly what you want. So we have some really strong things here, and it basically, I'm seeing this element here about overcoming indulgence, overcoming that concept of, it's almost like a lot of the times with air signs, I feel like you look at a situation, for example, you look at a job and you're just like, oh, that looks really easy. I don't really want to waste my time. But I feel like this spread is signaling to me, like starting from the ground up, building things from the ground up, making sure it is stable. So don't, turn your nose up at it. If it seems like you might need to start from the bottom to build something gradually, don't skip that step. And don't say, oh, I don't want to be bothered with it, because I feel like knowledge is, cumulative. You have to do step A first in order to learn the techniques in order to do step B. So you're learning from the ground up, and it's going to be a little bit slower than you want. It's going to require a lot of patience and diligence, but more importantly, proving to other people what you're capable of, so that they can give you additional responsibility so that you can climb your way to the top and then eventually take on more responsibilities, prove more of your skills, and have other people trust you. Okay. So we have here the star in the reverse position. And I feel like for some of you, if you are applying for like a job, a major internship, a major, like a once in a lifetime opportunity, I feel it's coming through. I feel financially, it's not going to be paying the amount that you anticipate or you expected, okay? And I also feel like for those of you going through interview process and things, be very, very careful with this energy. So this is an energy about, yes, they know you're smart, and that's why they call you in for an interview. They know you're qualified. However, they need to know as well that you are relatable. They need to know as well that you are able to get along with everybody. And this is not so much a problem for you Libras, but I feel some of you out there, you might take on this air where you want to show your skills and your expertise. You want to show your technical knowledge, but they might find that you are a little bit less approachable than the next candidate who's really relatable, who's really nice, who's really like, bubbly. Okay, so we have a situation where it's like I see one position and then I see multiple people applying for that position because like it's converging as well. So just keep that in mind.